The impacts of any ideology, including liberal and progressive ones, on a country like the USA are complex and multifaceted. Different perspectives offer varying insights into potential consequences, both positive and negative. Here are some arguments often made by critics who believe that continued liberal and progressive ideology could negatively impact the USA. Economic policies. Critics of liberal and progressive economic policies often point to the potential for higher taxes and increased regulation to stifle economic growth. They argue that raising taxes on the wealthy and corporations, a common tenet of progressive economic policy, could discourage investment and innovation. When businesses face higher taxes, they may have less capital to invest in expansion, research and development, or hiring new employees. This, in turn, could lead to slower economic growth and fewer job opportunities. Additionally, progressive policies often advocate for increased regulation to protect workers' rights, the environment, and consumer safety. While these regulations are designed to address important social and environmental issues, critics argue that they can impose significant burdens on businesses. Compliance with these regulations can be costly, especially for small businesses which may struggle to absorb the additional expenses. This could reduce the overall competitiveness of American businesses, both domestically and internationally, potentially leading to a decline in economic dynamism. Social policies. One of the central tenets of progressive ideology is the expansion of the social safety net. This includes policies such as universal health care, free or subsidized higher education, and expanded social welfare programs. Critics argue that these policies, while well-intentioned, could lead to increased government spending and higher national debt. They contend that financing these programs through higher taxes or borrowing could undermine economic stability and place an undue burden on future generations. Furthermore, critics of progressive social policies often point to the emphasis on identity politics as a source of societal division. Progressive movements frequently focus on addressing issues of systemic racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination. While these efforts aim to create a more inclusive and equitable society, opponents argue that an overemphasis on identity politics can exacerbate social tensions and lead to increased polarization. They contend that focusing on individual identity groups rather than promoting a shared national identity can create divisions within society, making it more difficult to achieve social cohesion. Cultural changes. Progressive cultural changes, particularly around issues of free speech and traditional values, also draw criticism. Some argue that progressive stances on speech and expression, particularly efforts to curb hate speech and promote political correctness, could infringe on free speech rights. They contend that these efforts, while intended to create a more inclusive and respectful public discourse, can sometimes lead to the suppression of dissenting opinions and stifle open debate. Critics worry that this could create a climate of self-censorship and limit the diversity of ideas in public discourse. Additionally, critics often contend that progressive policies undermine traditional family structures and values. They argue that initiatives such as recognizing diverse family arrangements, promoting gender equality, and supporting LGBTQ+ rights, while important for fostering inclusivity and equality, could lead to social instability by challenging long-standing cultural norms. These critics believe that maintaining traditional family values is essential for societal stability and that progressive cultural changes could erode these foundations. Education. In the realm of education, progressive policies advocate for curriculum changes that emphasize inclusivity, diversity, and social justice. Critics argue that these changes can politicize education and detract from core academic subjects. They worry that an increased focus on social issues and identity politics within the curriculum could come at the expense of teaching essential skills in math, science, and literacy. Additionally, opponents of these changes contend that they can create a divisive educational environment where students are encouraged to see themselves primarily through the lens of their identities rather than as individuals. Immigration. Liberal and progressive immigration policies often emphasize more open borders and a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. Critics argue that these policies could lead to increased immigration levels, which they claim might strain public services and impact job opportunities for native-born citizens. They contend that an influx of immigrants, particularly those with lower skill levels, could place additional burdens on healthcare, education, and social welfare systems, potentially leading to overcrowding and resource shortages. Furthermore, Opponents argue that increased competition for jobs, especially in lower-wage sectors, could depress wages and reduce employment opportunities for American workers. Healthcare. Progressive advocates often call for a single-payer healthcare system, such as Medicare for all. Critics of this approach argue that transitioning to a single-payer system could lead to higher taxes and potential inefficiencies. They contend that the increased government control over healthcare could result in longer wait times for medical procedures, reduced incentives for innovation in the healthcare sector, and potential declines in the quality of care. Additionally, critics worry that the significant cost of implementing and maintaining a single-payer system could place a heavy financial burden on taxpayers. In conclusion, while proponents of liberal and progressive ideologies argue that these policies promote greater social equality, environmental sustainability, and economic justice, critics contend that they could lead to economic stagnation, social division, cultural instability, and increased government spending. The debate over the impact of these ideologies on the USA is ongoing, reflecting the broader ideological divide within the country.